Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Power Plant in a Nutshell. So this would be my third video in the compressed air systems. In my first video, I have touched upon the basic compressor operation theories. In my second video, I have touched upon the different types of compressors. And in my this video, I would be covering upon the different types of dryers which are used in a compressed air systems. At the same time, I would be also covering upon the different issues which are facing with the dryers and why we actually require the dryers for instrument air or I would say why I should require the dryers for compressed air system. So without wasting any much time, let's begin with. So the moisture holding capacity of any air depends upon its ambient temperature. Higher the temperature, more is the holding capacity of the air. Now, as I've explained earlier in my lecture number 1 of compressed air system, that in a compressor we have one intercooler and one aftercooler. So about 60 to 70% of the moisture of the air is removed at the aftercooler only. The remaining 30% is removed by the dryers. Now this left 30% is actually hampers my process where this air is used for precision work. And if I have to use this air for cleaning and atomization purpose, this 30% moisture doesn't affect us. So where this moisture is not affecting us, we can use this air without passing this air through a dryer. And where in my precision work its quality of air in fact affects me, there I have to pass it through a dryer and make it usable. There is also one more thing which I need to tell you, that uh, when this compressed air passes through any pipe or passes through the field, its temperature get reduced. So the moisture which is present in the air as water vapor condenses it and form water droplets. So how does this moisture affect my systems or my pipelines or my equipments? That will be covered in the next slide. So how does this water vapor in compressed air affects us? Since these water droplets travel at the same speed as the air particles, hence while moving through the pipe, these particles erode the air lines, thus reducing the life of a pipe. At the same time, the vapor when present in the liquid form along with air helps in the or increases the chances of a corrosion of piping, thus again reducing the life of a plant or the life of the system. Third thing is that these moisture droplets, when made to pass through any filter which are installed in the equipment or which are installed in the equipment air line, so these moisture droplets choke the filter, thus affecting the proper moving of air into the equipment valve for operation, hence causing the mal-operation of certain pneumatic valves depending upon the choking of a filter. Fourth point, in paint industry where this air is used, so the water droplets when combined with uh, paint actually impair the finishing process by a large margin. So how to measure the amount of moisture present in an air or I would say compressed air or any atmospheric air? In order to measure the amount of moisture present in any air, we use a term called dew point. Lower the dew point, lower the quantity or the lower the percentage of moisture in a system. Now, to make it clear to you, I have shown a table also that if my dew point changes from -40 to -60, or I would say from 0 to minus 40, my moisture content reduces from 3800 to just 80 ppm. At the same time, there are basically two types of dew point. One is called atmospheric dew point, another is called pressurized dew point. If I measure a dew point of any year and the person who is measuring it gives me minus 10 degrees Celsius, I ask him what is the reference or what is the pressure at which we have measured it. If he said it's at atmospheric pressure, then I will tell him to give me the measurement in the pressure of the pressure which is present in the system. Now, as the pressure increases, and I hope you all must be clear with the Dalton's uh, law of partial pressure. As the pressure increases, so is the quantity of moisture in any air increases. Therefore, a pressurized dew point will show 0 degree Celsius for the same air whose dew point is minus 10 degrees Celsius at atmospheric pressure. So in next slide I would be discussing upon the different types of dryers which have been used in industry to remove the moisture which is present in the compressed air system. Normally there are two types of dryers which are used in any system, that is called refrigerant type and adsorption type. In adsorption type there are further three categories of dryers: blower reactivity type, heatless purge type and heat of compression type. So I would be covering upon each one of them one by one. In a refrigerant type dryers, there is a simple mechanical separation which is used. How do we go about it? We made this air is to pass through a refrigerant or a evaporator where the temperature of the air is reduced. The whole moisture which is present in the air get condensed and get separated out. The outlet of the refrigerant air is at cooler temperature as compared to the inlet. Now this cooled air is made to pass through a heat exchanger where it helps the air which is going into the refrigerant or into evaporator to lose some temperature, and this air which is coming out of the refrigerant help itself to gain some temperature and be ready for the field work. Now this is one of the most economical type of separation, and almost the pressure loss is almost 0.2 ksc, and all moisture particles greater than 3 microns are get separated during this process. So in the next slide I would be discussing upon the another type of refrigeration, another type of dryer, that is the adsorption type drying. In adsorption type drying, there is a simple physical method which help in separating the air, which help in separating the moisture from the compressed air. What we do here, there are certain uh, known compounds which has a high affinity for the water, which are silica and alumina. Now, the moist compressed air is made to pass through these dryers or these desiccants. These desiccants, when comes in contact with any moist compressed air, takes all the moisture from the air, and the dried air is made to pass through a three-way wall and it goes into the piping for use. Now, after some time, the desiccant which is present in the vessel get exploited or get exhausted. So after that, what we do, we replace this uh, vessel with the new vessel and try to use that vessel as a moisture remover, or use the desiccant with the vessel in the new vessel as a moisture remover. In the meantime, the dryer which has been exhausted, we try to regenerate it by making the air pass through it, by making the heated air pass through it. Heated air, when made to pass through it, takes all the moisture with it from these alumina or silica gel particles, and thus the resin or these desiccant again gets available for working. So this how this cycle has been developed, in which once a vessel is used, after that it get exhausted, then it has been made to regenerate it again, so that it can be used again, and again. In adsorption type technology, normally there are three further different types of dryers we used. So the first type of dryer which I will be discussing is the blower heater type dryer. In a blower reactivity type dryer, the vessel which has been in regeneration, we made two air pass through it. One is the dried air, which is almost 1% to 2% in quantity, and the next comes the air from a blower, which is get heated up, and this heated air is made to pass through a vessel which has been exhausted. So the dried air in combination with the heated air takes all the moisture from the alumina or silica gel and goes into the atmosphere. This way the vessel which has been exhausted again get regenerated for use again and again. Now, though these uh, type of dryers have high operating cost, but the per chair loss is of 1 to 2%, and normally these type of dryers are used where the capacities of compressor are greater than 250 cfm. So next comes the heatless purge type dryers. In the heatless purge type dryer, what we do, we the air the vessel which has been exhausted, we pass a dry saturated air through it. This dry saturated air tapping is taken from the uh, outlet of the dryer which has been which is in service. Once this uh, tapping is made to pass through a dryer which is in regeneration mode, it comes in contact with the silica and alumina gel and takes all the moisture from these desiccants, and the air goes into the atmosphere. Normally, these dryers have also very high operating cost, and because approximately 12 to 15% of the air is required for purging of the vessel which is in regeneration. Normally, this is a very old type of design, and you will not find this type of design in the industry. But normally, these type of dryers are also used where the capacity of the compressor is less than 250 cfm. Now, third type of dryer or third different philosophy of a dryer is heat or compression dryers. Now, this is one of the very new technology, and it has been one of the breakthrough technology because its operating cost is almost zero, because we don't require any heaters, as well as the purging loss is almost unnegligible or zero. What we do here in this, we there are basically two vessels again. One is in service, another is in standby, or the vessel which has been exhausted. Now we perform two cycles here. One cycle is of heating, another cycle is of cooling. The first cycle comprises of 2.5 hours of heating, and the next cycle comprises of 1.5 hours. How do we go about it? In the first process, as you have been clear to you, we made the air, dried air, which is at a temperature of 135 degrees Celsius. In this, one thing to note here is that in this heat of compression dryers, the air which is coming from the compressor is of two types. One is of regenerated type, one is of air which is called regeneration air, and another is called outlet air. Now, this regeneration air has a temperature of approximately 150 to 160 degrees Celsius, and the normal outlet air has a temperature of 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. Now, so the heated air from the compressor is made to pass through a vessel which is in the standby. When this heated air passes through this vessel which is in standby, it takes all the moisture from it. Now this air goes into the aftercooler where it loses 70 to 80% of the moisture which it has collected from the uh, vessel which is not in service, and after that, after passing through air cooler, it passes through the vessel which is in service. Now once it passes to a vessel which is in service, it then passes to the another aftercooler where another left out moisture has been removed and the air goes into the system for work. Now this is a heating cycle. In the second cycle, which is the cooling cycle, the air which is coming from the compressor at a temperature of 135 degrees Celsius is made to pass through aftercooler. Once it passes through aftercooler, then it goes to the vessel Bombay or vessel B, which is in the regeneration mode, and helps to take all the heat which is present in the vessel and thus help to cool the vessel. Once the cooling has been done, this air is made to pass through a dryer which is in service, and after that, once it passes through a dryer, then again it passes through the aftercooler where it loses some moisture and goes into a system for normal operation. Now, this is another type of rotary type of dryer which is been used presently. The function is similar to the if you if any of you remember about the APH, or if any of you know about the APH, that is air preheater. Uh, if you don't know about it, still there is no any issue. I will try to explain it. As you can see from here, there is a rotating disc. In rotating disc, what we do, we passes dried air, or I would say the we passes the compressor outlet air, which is the moist air, from the one side and the regenerated air from the other side. The silica gel is in the basically a rotating cylinder. When the silica gel is on the moist air side, it's get exhausted, and since this silica gel is present on the basket which are continuously rotating, so once it get exhausted, it starts moving, or the automatically the moisture moves it towards the regenerated side. The regenerated side here again takes all the moisture from it and get mixed up with the air which is going into the compressor outlet, or which is going into the compressor piping. In this process, the moisture gets separated because of the moisture gets separated and gets collected in the bottom of the uh, I would say the dryer, and the moisture trap removes all the moisture which is present in the trap. So nowadays, in this the new technology, the purging loss has also been negligible. At the same time, the dryers are being regenerated through the regenerative air which is present inside the compressors. Now let's have a quick comparison of different types of dryers. As you can see from this, for industrial purposes, the normal dew point of the air which we require is should have a dew point of less than minus 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. So refrigerant type dryer, though they have a low fixed cost, low operating cost, low power consumption, still we don't use it in the normal major industries because of its incapability to reduce the air to a dew point less than minus 20 degrees Celsius. The blower reactivity type dryers, which is in use, which were in use, I would say, in some of the industries around about 15 to 20 years back, have a dew point of minus 40 degrees Celsius. Though their operating cost is medium, as well as their fixed cost is also medium. But if we consider the case of a heatless pulse type dryers, though they have a dew point of minus 40 degrees Celsius, but their operating cost is very high. Though their fixed cost is low, but if I go for a long term type dryers, these are not at all suitable because their operating cost is very high. Now let's study the final type of dryers, which are heat or compression type dryers. In that, though the fixed cost is high, but the operating cost is almost negligible, that is 0.8 kilowatt hour per meter cube or per 1000 meter cube of air which has been made to pass through it. So I think you all must be clear with the types of dryers, and if you have any doubts, do mention in the comment section. I will try to take care of it. In my next presentation, I will be covering on the energy efficiency part of a compressors, how we can improve the efficiency and what are the various parameters on which the efficiency of a compressed air system depends. So till then, take care, good night, and please like and subscribe to my channel. Have a good day. Bye.